In the 8th century, the fortress city of Dibal was considered completely impenetrable. Its defenders relied on a massive red flag flying above the temple. As long as that flag remained intact, the local forces believed their gods were actively protecting them, making them fearless on the wall. The invading army brought forward a 15-meter-tall siege weapon they called the Bride. It required 500 men to operate and hurled 50-kilogram boulders. But the temple flag sat high out of range, and every heavy payload they launched fell short of the target. With the siege stalling and morale dropping, a rider arrived at the camp. He handed the teenage commander a letter that had just traveled 2,500 kilometers across deserts and mountains from Iraq. The letter contained specific instructions from the commanding governor on how to adjust the catapult's firing angle. The young commander made the mathematical corrections, fired the heavy catapult, and snapped the massive flagpole in a single shot. The collapse of the flag immediately broke the city's morale, and the fortress fell. Striking that target required precise engineering. The calculation that brought down the flag was the output of a massive, long-distance communication network designed to manage a war from halfway across the continent. To understand why an Iraq governor micromanaged a battle in Sindh, look at this map. The Umayyad Caliphate stretched from the Iberian Peninsula to the borders of India. The empire was massive, and the central government was stretched thin. When pirates operating near Sindh began raiding Umayyad trade ships and capturing civilians, the local ruler, King Dahir, claimed he had no control over the waters and refused to intervene. The governor of the eastern provinces, Hajjaj bin Yusuf, requested military aid to stop the piracy, but the caliph, sitting in the capital of Damascus, flatly denied the request. He was already pouring his troops and treasury into an invasion of Spain, and had no interest in financing a costly retaliation on the eastern border. Hajjaj decided to go rogue. He proposed launching an unsanctioned war, guaranteeing the caliph that he would cover the entire cost of the invasion himself. If it failed, Hajjaj would absorb every ounce of the financial loss. Funding a massive army out of pocket was an extreme risk. Hajjaj needed a commander he could trust completely, so he handed the entire operation to his 17-year-old nephew, Muhammad bin Kasim. Because Hajjaj's personal fortune and political survival were now tied to this teenage commander, he refused to leave the outcome to chance. He built a system to direct the invasion entirely from his own desk. Hajjaj engineered the supply chain to eliminate friction on the march. He provisioned the troops with everything from sewing needles to pre-cooked rations, ensuring they wouldn't have to stop to prepare food in hostile territory. He then split the forces. The cavalry and infantry took the punishing overland desert route, while the heavy artillery was loaded onto ships. He calculated their travel times so the land and sea forces would arrive at the beaches of Sindh on the exact same day. To maintain control over these moving pieces, Hajjaj established a continuous 2,500-kilometer data link. He mapped out the route from his headquarters in Iraq to the front lines in Sindh, building a dedicated relay station exactly every 20 kilometers. Fresh horses were kept saddled day and night at every single node. Kasim dispatched detailed reports covering his precise location, the weather, and enemy troop movements. A rider would sprint 20 kilometers, hand the pouch to the next rider, and repeat. This relay compressed a grueling transcontinental journey into a 7-day sprint. Hajjaj used these incoming maps to dictate specific tactical maneuvers. It was this exact 7-day feedback loop that delivered the precise catapult angle needed to snap the flag at Dibal. After taking Dibal, Kasim pushed further into Sindh until he hit a massive geographical barrier, the wide expanse of the Indus River. Waiting on the opposite bank was King Dahir, commanding a fresh army of 20,000 soldiers. A crossing seemed entirely impossible under arrow fire. Kasim gathered every wooden boat he could find, lashed them together with heavy ropes, and laid wooden planks across their decks to build a floating pontoon bridge. He loaded his vanguard into the front boats, rowed them across under heavy attack, and anchored the bridge to the opposite shore. As the army crossed, they met Dahir's front line, a wall of massive war elephants. Historically, when Arab cavalry encountered these beasts, the horses panicked, broke formation, and the elephants easily crushed the scattered lines. Kasim countered this by ordering his archers to ignite their arrows. They launched a concentrated volley of fire directly at the beasts. The sudden heat and flames terrified the elephants, causing them to abandon their charge, turn around, and trample directly through Dahir's own defensive lines. The ensuing chaos broke the army's formation. Kasim won the battle by methodically eliminating the psychological anchors of the enemy, bridging an uncrossable river, and turning their invincible beasts against them. With the region secured, Kasim shifted from military conquest to administration. He built a new capital city called Mansoura, and deliberately kept the existing local officials in their positions, relying on their expertise to run the daily mechanics of the region. He instituted the jizya, a specific protection tax levied on non-Muslim subjects. Paying this tax guaranteed the local Hindu and Buddhist populations the right to practice their religion freely, while establishing a steady revenue stream for the new government. But back in Damascus, the political winds violently shifted. The caliph died, and his brother ascended to the throne, immediately initiating a massive purge of the previous administration. Hajjaj had been a fiercely loyal enforcer for the previous ruler. By extension, the new caliph viewed the highly successful 20-year-old Kasim as a direct threat to his newfound authority. After serving just 3 years as governor, Kasim was suddenly recalled to the capital. He was stripped of all military rank, thrown into a dungeon, and tortured to death. He spent his teenage years out-engineering massive rivers, veteran armies, and war elephants, using unparalleled logic and logistics. But the one threat he couldn't calculate a defense against was the paranoia of his own empire.